Researching UH history at UH Special Collections. My name is Mary Manning, and I am presenting today with my colleague, Bethany Scott. Don't sweat taking notes today. We'll provide a resources page at the end of the presentation that will contain the URLs for all the resources we look at today. Additionally, we provided your professor with a PDF and a recording of this presentation for your review later. Let's define special collections and archives before we look at the resources we have here at UH Special Collections. Special collections consist of special book collections, like you see on the left, and archival collections, like you see on the right. Archives are a collection of historical materials that document a business or an organization, or a person or a group of people. Example of archival collections at UH Special Collections include the Philip G. Hoffman papers, the Leinhardt family papers, UH President's Office records. Additionally, the term archives can refer to the place the archival collections are stored and the organization who manages the collections. What might you find in archival collections? You might find paper documentation such as correspondence, meeting agendas and minutes, pamphlets, flyers, etc. But you can also find photographs, audiovisual materials, born digital materials, textiles, scrapbooks, etc. We will talk more about book collections when we explore how to use the Special Collections catalog. Let's learn about UH Special Collections resources and services by exploring the UH Special Collections homepage. Here's the URL for our homepage. It can easily be found by Googling or searching any browser for UH Special Collections. This is especially handy if you don't have the URL on you. Our homepage is your one-stop shop for everything you need for research at UH Special Collections. All the search tools that we will review today can be found at the top of the UH Special Collections homepage. Information about UH Special Collections and our services can be found a little further down our homepage. And towards the bottom of the page, you can find our collecting areas. Look at all the different subjects that we cover. Each of the collecting area listed here is a live link to what we call portal pages. So you can link on any of these and find out more information about that collection. Each portal page will have information on the archival and digital collections in that collecting area. It will also contain information on how to contact the curator of that collection for more information. For example, if you click on the University of Houston Archives hyperlink on this page, it will take you to the UH Archives portal page. Here's a link to the UH Archives portal page. It contains a list of all the UH-related finding aids and digital collections. You can also find my contact information on this page, and I am happy to help you in your information search. So we're going to search the finding aid database, but what is a finding aid, you may ask? A finding aid describes a specific archival collection. They're created by Archivist and used by researchers to help determine if the material in a collection is relevant to their research. It's an inventory of what's in the collection and is often listed by box and folder number. It contains descriptive information about the collection and the person or organization that created it. Terms to know when navigating a finding aid. The structure of a finding aid is hierarchical and represents the way the materials in it are organized. At the top level, you have the collection, and below that, you have series and sometimes subseries. The series and subseries allow you to see how the content in a collection is organized. Series can be organized by function, like correspondence, minutes, or committee reports. They can also be organized by format, photograph, AV, scrapbook, etc., or they can be organized by topic or subject. Folders and items are the most specific content description. And we usually describe things at the folder description and not the item description. So folders and items make up series and subseries, and the series and the subseries make up the collection. We will see examples of these terms and what a finding aid looks like soon. Here we are at the Archives and Finding Aid database. This is where you search across all our archival collections to find materials related to your research. Let's do a search in the Finding Aid database. Let's search Philip Hoffman. Keep in mind that searching names using different versions of the name often yield different results. For example, if I had searched Philip G. Hoffman with a middle initial, I would have gotten slightly smaller results. So always try different search terms. Here we get 7 results. The Finding Aid database lists collections at the top of the results. In this case, it's the Hilton College records. Below the collections, we can find specific folders that contain content related to Hoffman. Let's look at this result. Hoffman Philip G. Hall, Social Sciences Building. Below the name of that folder, we can see that it's a folder. It says that it's folder 27 and box 21. This folder is found at the special collections, and everything you find in this database will be from our collections. After that, you'll find the collection number as well as the collection title. And after this, you always find the series level name. And the series name for this collection is location. We deliver content to the reading room by the box. So if you wanted to see this folder, we would need to know the collection title and the number and the box number. Below this, we find the date of the content in the folder. And below that, we find a scope and content notes. This is a descriptive note that includes the type of materials as well as the dates of the materials. You can have a scope and content note at the collection level or at the series or subseries level. This one says that it's from the series, which means that it describes the series called location. Let's click on this result to get to the folder record. This is a folder, so we click on it and we'll get to the folder record. From this view, we'll find information that we've already found in the results, but there'll be a few extra bits of information. One special and brand new feature are these 3 links to photographs in the folder that have already been digitized. If you click on these links, you'll be taken to the digital collections where you can download the image. And Bethany will talk a little bit more about searching the digital collections in a few minutes. To the right, you will see collection organization, and you'll see that our folder, highlighted in red here, is surrounded by all of these other folders. So it looks like these locations have been organized alphabetically. And there's a lot of location photographs that we have in that collection. And if we scroll up, we'll see that all these folders are in location. And if we collapse that, we can see the UH photograph collection and all the series within it. We can click on any of these series and we will get to the description of the people series or the description of that series. Underneath that, you will see the folders in that series, again, alphabetical by last name of the person in the photograph. Here at the top is the description of the UH photographs collection, which we also call the finding aid. You can get to the finding aid here or here. So let's look at the finding aid for this collection. The collection name and collection number. We're in collection overview. Though it's not labeled, this is actually the scope and content note. It contains information for the entire collection, whereas the folder record that we looked at had just information for the folder. This is the dates of everything in the collection, the creator for the collection, Conditions governing access. This is open for research, and most of our collections are, but if not, you can contact the curator about possibly seeing the collection. Conditions governing use have to do with copyright, and you'll want to look at that if you want to publish something. Below that, we have the extent, which is the size of the collection. A linear foot is about the size of a banker's box, which is about the size of a copy paper box, a little bit bigger than that. So 103 copy paper boxes, that's a pretty big collection. Below that, technical requirements to view the materials. And below that, digital collections. So not every collection that we have has a digital collection related to it. But this particular collection, the UH photographs, has 3 digital collections created from it. And it's important to know that not everything in the UH photograph collection is included in the digital collections. But we've digitized selections and made them into 3 collections, one which is U of H buildings, one which is the U of H campus life collection, and one that's the U of H people collection. We have subjects, collecting areas, creator, information on who created the finding aid, as well as repository information below that. Now, let's go back to our presentation. What can you find in the Special Collections Catalog? Primarily books, many rare, but also programs, magazines, newspapers, videos, LPs, and other items. Most of these are published materials, and this is where you'll find materials that are not a part of an archival collection. We often forget to check the catalog for primary documentation. Materials that are found in Special Collections Catalog that are particularly useful to researching U of H history is the Estonian Yearbook, the Cougar newspaper, the Board of Regents minutes, UH and department newsletters and magazines, programs, and published commercial AV. Also keep in mind that the Houstonian Yearbook is available completely online, and the first several years of the Cougar newspaper from 1928 to 1933 are available online. Let's search through our Special Collections catalog. Let's search African American Studies. Squiggly lines usually indicate you've misspelt something, but in this case, I just haven't alphabetized them, so it should work. Let's give it a try. So we got 2,851 results. There are several ways to use the advanced search to limit your results. But it's always kind of a good idea to start with a real general search like this and see what you can find. We find some materials related to U of H, like this newsletter for the African American Studies program. And I'm particularly interested in my search with things that have to do with the U of H program. There's other materials here, like this African American Studies program that's also related, but it's mixed in with other material related to African American Studies. Let's go ahead and click on the newsletters though and see what we can find. At the top of the catalog record, we find the title and the author and the date of publication. We also find out that this is available at the U of H Special Collections and not in the main library. We scroll on down, we find the collection information. And one really important part here is this call number. It's a series of letters and numbers, and you'll need that number to request the book from us. Something to keep in mind that All of our archival materials and our book materials are available in what we call a closed stacks. That means that we're going to need to retrieve the item for you, that the public's not allowed into the stacks. We make these available in the reading room, and they're only available to be used during our business hours. And they're also not loanable. We wish we can loan them, but some of these things are the only copy in the world of that particular item, and a lot of them are very, very fragile. And this is how we can ensure that they last into the future. Below this, there's also some interesting features, such as the creator includes a link to everything that was created by U of H African American Studies. And this is a great way to limit your search. Here we find 4 items. We may have limited too much though, so it's always good to play around with your searches and try different ways. Well, let's go back to the record that we were looking at. Here we are. The catalog record for the newsletters. And if we go down to the very bottom of the page, there's an interesting virtual browse where you can see what items are on the actual shelves, besides, to the left and to the right of the item you're looking at. This is interesting because this is what you do when you go find something on the physical shelves. But since you can't go into the special collections, we have a way for you to do that virtual browse. Also, don't forget to check the main library's catalog, but that's outside of today's instruction. And now I will turn it over to UH Special Collections Digital Collections Coordinator, Bethany Scott.
All right, thank you, Mary. So as Mary mentioned earlier, there are selected materials from the archives that have already been digitized and available online. So I'm going to show you all the different places where you can find online materials from special collections. So first up, I'm going to show you the UH digital collections. This is our new system for all of the online content from special collections and the other branch libraries. But right now, we are currently in the middle of moving collections over from the old system, which is the digital library, into this new system here, digital collections. So I just wanted to highlight that because you might have to look into places to find everything that's related to university archives. But first, I will just show you some tips and tricks on how to find things in digital collections. So there are basically 2 ways that you can look for things here. There's search and browse. So I'll go over search first. You can see we have this big search box here where you can enter your keywords that you're looking for. For all of the books and other text-based materials, we have full text search available. And also you can use quotation marks if you want to search for a specific phrase. So let's go ahead and try that with by Slamma Jamma. See what we get. So as you can see, there are 10 items that contain the exact phrase by Slamma Jamma. We have a couple of sorting options here at the right. You can sort by relevance, title, the date, ascending or descending. Those are really great if you are researching a specific time period. When the results are in date order, then you can go exactly to the year that you're looking for. You can also add more results per page if you have a lot that you want to scroll through, and you can toggle between the list view and the gallery view. The gallery view mainly shows these thumbnails of the items. The list view has a little more detailed information, which can be helpful for you to identify which item in the search results that you want to click on and look at. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Houstonian Yearbook from 1983. As you can see, this is a part of the Houstonian Yearbook collection. And there are 473 pages in this book, so sometimes it does take a little bit of time to load, just something to be aware of. But now that it has started loading, I'll show you how to search for specific words and phrases inside this book. So if you come up here and click on this little magnifying glass icon, you can search inside this yearbook. So let's look for Phi Sigma Gamma again. And as you can see, when we enter that phrase, it takes us down to page 50. And you can see here the article about Phi Sigma Gamma that they wrote in the yearbook from 1983. When the basketball team was, winning and went to the Final Four. You can see their commentary about it. You can look at the pictures that they had in the yearbook. So these are just, the yearbooks in particular are really great source for looking at different topics over time. Also want to highlight over here, we have the subject, place, and these other terms. All of these are clickable links that describe this book. And if you click on them, you can see all the other items that also have that same term. So that's really helpful to look at other items in digital collections that are related to your search results. So now I will go back and show how to browse the collections. So under the search box, we have these high-level browse options for collections, images, text, and audio video. So say you know that you want to find a photograph to use like in a paper presentation, you could click on images, and this would bring up the search results for all of the images in the entire digital collections. And from here, we could start to narrow down all these search results using the options under Limit Your Search here in the left-hand column. There are a couple of these that I want to particularly point out because they're really helpful. This genre term, you might think of genre as being like mystery or sci-fi, but in this case, it refers to the original format of the materials. So, say that you want a black and white photograph, we can go ahead and add that in, and it gets added to these filters at the top. And it starts to narrow down the number of search results. Another one that is really helpful is all the way at the bottom here, provenance. This refers to the source of the original items. So as you can see, a lot of items come from UH special collections, but we have some of our other collecting areas here as well. If I click on more, it shows all of the collections, and you'll see here sort of in the middle is University of Houston Archives. So we can add that, and just by adding a few of those filters, we have narrowed down the search results from over 5,000 items to only 220. And so you could continue on like that, adding more of the filters to narrow it down even more if you want to. And let me go ahead and show you one of these photographs. With all of the image-based items in the repository, we have some download options. So this is where you could click to download the file to use it for whatever you need. The original button will be a really large, high-resolution file. And then we also have these smaller buttons, which would be, a smaller file that could maybe be used like on a website or presentation or something like that. Okay, so that's just the basics of searching, browsing, and using items in digital collections. Now I will show you the digital library. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, this is our older system. We don't have quite as many features when it comes to some of those kind of search strategies that I was demonstrating, but there are still some good university archives collections over here that I want to show y'all. So if we hover over the collections tab, then we come on down to University of Houston. You can see that A lot of these collections have already been moved over, and you can get to the links to their new home at Digital Collections here. And if we scroll on down, you'll see the collections that are still available in the digital library. Campus Life, Frontier Fiesta, Integration Records, and a few more. Most of these collections that are in the digital library are photographs. There's also some other documents and publications. But if you're looking for something and you're just not sure if it's located in digital library or digital collections, or even if it's been scanned and available online at all, you can always email me and Mary anytime. We can help you out with searching for things online. And then the last thing that I want to show you is our AV repository. So this is where you can stream audio and video recordings from the archives online. As you can see over here, there's mostly video or moving image, as it's referred to, just a few sound recordings. And if we take a look at the collections, you can see that most of the videos here come from the KUHT collections. So those would be educational programs that were produced on campus at KUHT. And we also have some other oral histories and interviews on different topics relating to U of H and the history of Houston as well. Okay, so let's say you have searched the finding aids and the catalog for your research materials. You found some items that are not available online, and you want to come in and use them for your research. There's a few things that you'll want to know about how to access UH libraries and special collections. So first off, don't forget to bring your Cougar card to get into the main library. You will have to swipe your card to get through those new security gates that are in the lobby starting on September 20th. Also, Special Collections is open by appointment only right now. We are unfortunately a little short-staffed at the moment, so those appointment times help us to manage the workload and the traffic in the reading room. You will email Mary to make an appointment, and her email is mmmanning@uh.edu. You might need to suggest a few different appointment times that you would be available to come in, because our capacity is capped at 3 or 4 researchers in the reading room at any one time. And you will also be asked to tell us the collection or collections and which specific boxes you want to look at. And that way we will have all those materials on hold and ready for your appointment time when you come in. There is more information on visiting special collections and making an appointment available at our website at this URL on the slide. And then finally, just a few notes about the etiquette in the reading room. So the reading room is a quiet zone in the library. It's not a general study space. When you're in, please feel free to ask the archivist any questions about the collection or about your research topic. We're always happy to help you find additional materials that you need. But please do try to stay on task as much as possible as far as, actively using the collections when you are in the reading room. And if you can't make your original appointment time, or you're just running late or something, please do let us know as soon as possible, since there might be another researcher who would want to use that appointment time if you can't come. So after you make an appointment, here's what to expect when you actually get into special collections. We are located on the 2nd floor of the main library by the red elevators. So when you come into the library, you'll go straight back from the entrance up those circular staircases, and you'll find the entrance to special collections. When you make your appointment, you'll be given a phone number to contact one of the special collections staff members, and they will come and let you into the department. Our front door is locked while we are only open by appointments. If it's your first time in the reading room, you can expect to fill out a patron registration form with your contact info, your ID number, things like that. Laptops, cameras, phones, notebooks, and pencils are all allowed in the reading room so that you can take notes or take pictures of the materials to refer to in your research later. Pens are not allowed in the reading room. Just keep that in mind. And also any purses, backpacks, or bags are not allowed, but we have lockers that you can use to store your belongings while you are looking at the collections. The boxes that you have requested will be ready for you to use when you get here. And so here on the right of the slide, you can see an example of what a box looks like and the folders inside. The folders will be labeled with folder numbers, titles, and dates of the materials found in the folder. And when you're using a folder of archival materials, there are a couple of best practices for handling to keep in mind. So you'll have an out card to help you mark the place of the folder when you take it out of the box. And that basically is a big piece of cardstock that says out at the top. So only take out one folder at a time and make sure that you keep the folders in number order when you put it back in. And when you're looking at the contents of the folder, turn the papers like you would pages in a book. And that way the items will stay in order in the folder when you are done. Okay, so now some hints for conducting your research to make the most out of your time in the reading room. Of course, taking notes either on your laptop or handwritten, if that's what you like, is super helpful. If there's specific quotations or just general information, such as dates and names that are relevant to your topic, it's a good idea to keep track of all of that information and also the source where you found it. In addition to taking notes, you can also use your phone to take pictures of the items. That way you can go back and look at it later when you're not in the reading room. But whether you are writing your own notes or just taking pictures of the items, make sure to record the box and folder number so that you can find the items or documents later. Box and folder number is important for your citations if you're writing a paper or article. And it also helps us in special collections to find that item in case you realize after the fact that you want to have it digitized. And on that note, for any digitization requests, it's very helpful for the original items in the folder to be flagged so that we can make sure we're digitizing the correct item for you. So when you're in the reading room, if you know that you want to have something digitized later, you can ask the archivist for some flags, which are basically like these long strips of paper, and you place them in the folder next to the item that you're looking for. You can even write notes on the top of the flag to help us identify, and that way we can easily find it later when we are doing the scanning. So if there's items that you want to use, in a publication and they are not already available in our digital collections online, we can provide on-demand digitization service, and that'll give you a high-resolution image file that would be suitable for publication. There's information about all the services and the different options available on our website here. And in order to make a digitization request, there's a few steps that you'll need to do. So first, you'll fill out our online form where you basically provide us with some identifying information like the collection name, box number, folder number of the items that you need to have digitized. As I was just talking about, make sure that the items are flagged in the folder if possible. If you're in the reading room flagging the items, you can even fill out the online form while you're in there, and the archivist can help you with that if you have any questions. And then when we are all done scanning the materials for you, you'll receive a notification email with a link to download all of the image files. The turnaround time for digitization requests is 2 to 3 weeks. We do complete all of these requests on a first come, first served basis. So if there aren't already a lot of other requests in the queue, it could be less, just a week or so. But please do keep that 2 to 3 week timeframe in mind if you can. Try not to submit the requests at the last minute if you have a deadline coming up. And then finally, I just wanted to note that Special Collections usually does not hold the copyright for the materials in the collections. So you may need to obtain permission to publish them from the rights holder if the items are still in copyright. Now, many items in the university archives will belong to the University of Houston. And the marketing and communications department can sign off on any of those materials. That would just be another form that you need to fill out and submit to them. So if that comes up, let us know and we can help you get the form, get it submitted to the right people and all that. Items that don't belong to the university would be like Houston Chronicle articles, for instance. So you're free to use those as your background research, of course, but if you want to reproduce any historical articles in a publication, you would have to go to the Chronicle to ask for their permission. They usually charge a fee for that. So just something to keep in mind as you are looking at items that you might want to have digitized and use in a publication. And one other note, for any class projects, you are using the materials for an educational purpose. So in that case, you wouldn't need to get permission. This would really apply more to, for instance, the Houston History Magazine or a journal article, any commercial type of publication. So finally, here are all of the links to the locations where you can search for Special Collections resources online, and you'll have access to all of these for when you're starting your research. So I'll just wrap up by saying thank you. Our contact info is available here. Please do email if you need anything. And now we will go over to the live question portion.